Hey everyone, welcome to the Slice of Healthcare podcast. I'm your host, Jared Taylor. Joining me today is the co-founder and CEO of SteadyMD, Guy Friedman. Guy, how's it going?
Great to be reconnected with you, man.
Yeah, no, it's always great to chat with you. I'm excited to talk about SteadyMD, kind of talk about what's happening in the digital health market today through your lens, and also talk about this this great relationship, this partnership that you have with Bridge, which we'll get to as well. But first off, let's just give us kind of the update on where things are at 2024. Again, it's really great chatting with you. So looking forward to hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we start, congrats on all your success since you left us. I've been watching the podcast. It's been going great. So glad you found your kind of place in the universe, and glad you exist for digital health in general. It's good to have places where we all can, hear, like it's not super niche, but it's good to hear from different founders and stuff. So congrats to you before I get started.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, I mean, a brief history for your listeners that don't know SteadyMD. We started in 2017, kind of at the dawn of this like new digital health cohort. The original folks were Amwell, Doctor on Demand, MD Live, all sort of offering urgent care but online. And that business was kind of fleshed out by 2016, 2017. And you had companies like SteadyMD launching, which the original version of SteadyMD was virtual concierge primary care completely online. So we charge patients a monthly fee and they got unlimited access to their doctor. And there was a bunch of other point solutions and condition-based solutions launching on a nice little like methodical growth curve, not only with growth within those businesses, but also in the venture capital space. It was growing like step by step, year by year. Then we had this, in early 2020, SteadyMD pivoted to be what it is today, which everyone kind of knows us as our current iteration, which is a 50-state clinician network for digital health companies to plug into. So digital health companies come to us, we integrate them into our platform, integrate their modality, visit type, hours of operation, clinician type, obviously clinical protocol. We have hundreds of clinicians that can pick up those visits, and we're the efficient way that we match all of the digital health demand with supply across asynchronous care, urgent care, lab ordering and follow-up visits, as well as long-term chronic care, which right now consists of a lot of weight loss, but we also do primary care and other things as well, which are repeat visits with the same patient versus one-time visits that you'd see on like an Amazon clinic or something like that. So the industry spiked in 2020 and 2021 with COVID. Really, this big exogenous thing happened. Huge spike in funding. Really helped us launch into the new iteration of the business, where we signed a bunch of deals with early stage startups, but they had a lot of capital and they needed us to help them kind of represent. They could take a lot of growth. Then into 22 and 23, a lot of those companies really lower volume, lower funding environment, and we really transitioned our business to more larger enterprise deals with bigger established companies with volume, and right now we're really one of the largest players in the space, providing this like larger enterprise service for folks who have real needs for a large 50-state digital health network of clinicians that are well trained. We do implementations across technology, clinical protocols. It's pretty intense and complicated, but once you're up and running, we provide that capacity ongoing for all these larger enterprises. So that's where we are today. We've sort of been like the dark matter of digital health all these years. So as the industry ebbs and flows, we go with it. But one thing's for sure, since we're on the back end and we're the clinician network, we're sort of agnostic where volume's coming from, whether it's spiking from COVID and then maybe like Paxlovid was the next big spike, and now weight loss. I don't know what 2024 and 2025 will bring, but if anyone's spiky and needs help with capacity, we're really a great option for them, and that's really what we've been doing for now a year. So I've been doing this 8 years. Pretty crazy. We didn't think it just, when you're going through it, you don't realize how time's going by, and then you look up, you're like, oh, it's 8 years later. So yeah, we've been doing this a long time.
And what's really interesting with you versus kind of when you look at the landscape, right, of the other companies is you built something that was like the companies that you're serving today, you were kind of in their shoes at one point, which is why like that pivot became so seamless because you were already building these tools, right, for what you needed, and now you're able to provide it to all of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, by now, it's years later past the pivot, but like our core, ethos was a clinic, a primary care clinic online. So I felt in my gut the pain of a patient coming in a state where we don't have coverage, and that moment, like, it's very specific to digital health founders, but someone wants to pay you, whether it's a payer, a hospital system, or a patient wants to get seen, and you can't see that patient. It's like a knife in the stomach. So I know that pain, and that's why I work, uh, you know, every day, all day, to help other digital health founders not feel that stress. It's stressful enough to acquire clients or patients and have your app work really great than to worry about, oh, do we have coverage in Nebraska today at 3 p.m.? Like, that's something that we can do and we want to be experts at and be the best in the world at. So it's really a slam dunk use case for the industry. There's no doubt that it's very necessary, and becoming more necessary as digital health companies mature and want to like give that function to us without sacrificing clinical quality or care or anything like that. We can really help them grow in scale. Eventually, your clinical ops and clinician network is going to be too complex, and then that's where we come in.
It's just it makes sense because for a lot of companies you have, especially at the at certain parts of the business, like the law firm shouldn't be like attached to the company, the accounting and bookkeep,
Right.
like it makes total sense. Now I like how you described that there were these different drivers of growth that kind of come up, and then you're constantly looking at what's going to be after weight loss, right? What's that next one going to be, and then you'll be on it. Talk me through the relationship that you recently announced, this partnership with Bridge, and how it helps you continue to execute.
Yeah, sure. So I think there's this question of, can you take insurance? And typically there's a few different models to do that. You can go in network with your own physician group, or many times we'll partner with a client who has a relationship with a payer, and we're working with them on under their contract as a maybe I don't know the exact definition in the brick and mortar world, but it's like staffing relationship where we're helping them execute on their own payer deals, and that's been like most of the deals historically for us. Bridge represents an interesting piece of the industry where they're gonna be credentialing clinicians for different digital health companies. You can have Keaton on; he can probably pitch it better. But they'll be credentialing clinicians for digital health companies into payer deals. It just allows more access for patients to have a different option. I think the DTC world, they've always been kind of looking for this, but an alternative to the cash pay, even though it's working pretty well for many companies. I think this will be a nice growth level for the entire industry. So we wanted to be on the forefront of that, where really innovative company that I think will be just good for the industry, not just us. It's good to have someone handling the very complex part of just like we did back in 2020, managing the state level forecast, matching it to demand is a beast. It's just a beast in many different ways. So that's what we're obsessed with. And if Bridge executes well, they'll be a nice piece of the infrastructure, just like we are.
Yeah, it was an exciting piece of news. I think it came out around the ATA conference time, right?
Right.
So now we've been probably 2 months from there, or a month from there. Um, really, really exciting, and congrats on that. Huge
Thanks.
win for the company. What kind of excites you? Kind of, we're going into the second half of the year. What are you most looking forward to? What are some things top of mind? I know there's things you can say and there's things you can't say,
Yeah.
but in terms of what you
Um,
can say, what are you excited about?
I think for SteadyMD, I mean, I think the rise in kind of like stabilization of digital health is sort of it's starting to get to be pretty stable in terms of like, okay, these are the companies that have traction. These are the companies that can grow. You're starting to see funding rounds come back. Also consolidation in the industry between companies that are similar in similar spots, but neither one can kind of exist on their own. So we're seeing a lot more mergers. No matter what happens, if it's stable and continues like a more methodical growth path, maybe it's not like 90 degrees like a rocket ship, but a stable, repeatable growth path, I think that'll open up a lot more financing options and a lot more like opportunities for companies. What really was stopping it in the last few years was the uncertainty, not the fact that growth slowed. I think if we all agree on, hey, this is how the industry is shaping out, this is the playbook. You can see success stories like Hims is a good one, which I think has been executing really well in direct to consumer. That's a good signal for the industry. Okay, there can be good growth here. It's just like maybe the growth curve is a different angle. If we decide on that as an industry, it'll open up a lot more options for everyone. So I'm excited to kind of see that and get to a little bit more stability in the space and kind of a resetting of what are the rules here. We all agree on these rules, and then we can execute against that versus just uncertainty is the hardest thing for founders and investors too to operate in. Yeah, there's big opportunities, but also big uncertainty. That's one. I think a second one is like the implementation of AI in a more practical sense. I think the demos are amazing. Like I've seen these like amazing space age demos, but when you start implementing at companies like SteadyMD, which we're not, I don't have 10,000 AI engineers, like, but we take what they're building and actually implement it at the patient level. Um, it's pretty great. It's pretty interesting. It's intimidating to think about, and then when you start using it, you're like, oh, this is going to be like software, like a category, or even like the internet. Like it's just a thing that we all suddenly will start using versus like I need to have 10,000 AI engineers training model. Like forget all that. It's just like it's not intimidating once you start using it. So I've been excited about that because I'm just discovering that. I'm a not, I don't know if I'm an older founder, but like I just to me I'm like very practical and methodical. Okay, is this going to actually help make my doctors' lives better? And we're seeing real examples at our company, so that's a cool thing. I don't think it's been implemented yet. I think once it starts getting implemented, we're going to see some real cool stuff.
It's mainly been talked about, like there's a lot of hype around it, and
Yeah,
most of it is warranted, but it'll be interesting to see. I know health just announced that at the upcoming conference they're going to have like an AI pavilion, and it'll be, I did find it interesting when you're able to actually go to the booth and the AI companies are able to actually show you how, like, for instance, like those like the clinical like documentation companies, like
yeah.
for the most part, like those have really, I mean, but that's there's a lot of competition in that space too, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But
I don't know. I don't know. It's fun to watch from the sidelines. All I know is like we're focused on being the biggest and best clinician network for digital health, and I will probably be like a buyer of the best system. Now, I don't know with AI if there can be 10,000 players because it sort of seems like, well, this one's the best and we all know it. And is it a dominant design or is it like going to be like 5 players, 3 players, 1 player? I don't know. Usually in healthcare, there's like high implementation costs. So, oh, Kaiser uses this and HCA uses that and hospital B uses this. So, maybe it's just a race to get implemented, and then it doesn't matter if like a bridge is slightly better than one of the other ones or Nabla or something. It's just they're implemented, so they're being used there, and that's that. But no, it's definitely exciting. I like the summarization. Also, the clinical conversation summarization is cool, but also I'm more excited actually about the presentation of past data in like showing the medical record to the clinician in a streamlined and efficient way. To me, um, that's actually more important because the clinician is still going to have the conversation with the patient, so it saves them like the coding time, which they hate. But to be brought up to speed in a way that's like way better, that to me is even more cool. So um, both are cool, but it's fun to watch. It's fun to be a part of, and I'm excited about to see what the next few years will bring.
Yeah, we recently did an episode with Q Bio, and they did a whole like demo on the podcast, which is really cool to kind of see how they were using AI for the different summary. But they wouldn't utilize it to give the patient any advice after their scans or anything like
Yeah,
that. It would just be as a resource, like you were saying, for the clinicians to make their lives easier, is how they were using it,
yeah.
not to, yeah.
I go to like self driving. So we've had 80% self driving for like years, and just now, 10 years after I don't know when self driving first came out. I guess we had cruise control like back in the 90s or something, but just now they have like Cruise and Waymo implemented in 2 cities. But we were at like 80% for like, I don't know, maybe 90%. I don't know the exact percent. I'm not an expert, but like it seemed like we were very close for years. The last 10% is like 10x the work of the first 90% or something. Healthcare, it's going to be probably even more like that, where take your parents or my parents, like, hey, would you take this prescription if you knew it was a chatbot? And then the regulatory side. So we're gonna have clinicians involved for you, probably for our lifetime, I think.
And it
And
doesn't matter how accurate it is. You were just
yeah,
saying, like, if you ask parents and grandparents at like in this like for right now, they are against anything AI. Like they don't trust it.
so
Like from their lens.
it's the self-driving with the safety driver, doctor assist phase that could last years, but it could be great. It could be great. Anything to like what is the problem with healthcare? Really, we have too many patients and too few clinician hours. How do you change that? You can create more clinicians, which we're basically not willing to do as a society. We're not willing to pay for that. You can relax the rules around credentialing and allow like RNs and NPs and like to go up the chain and keep doing more, or you can make clinicians more efficient without sacrificing care. So that's number three. Digital health in general was an attempt at that, and now AI is another move, that will continue to do that. So I think we have a structural problem in society with wait times, especially within primary care, but every specialty. Um, and it's not like we can triple the number of clinicians. That's just doesn't seem like the government wants to do that. Which there's ways to do that. I could increase the capacity of clinicians in one signature if you eliminated state licensing, right? I mean, you know this better than anyone.
Yeah.
You and me are probably like in the top 20 that know this problem. Um, they don't want to do that, so we're doing it with cool tech and digital health and whatever.
And it's not a matter of like the logic says you probably should do it. You probably can do it. But there's so much in from outsiders looking in on healthcare. There's so much that seems obvious. That's why a lot of people that don't come from healthcare backgrounds don't have success in this space, right?
Oh
Because
yeah, oh
they
yeah,
can't
no.
fathom that. Why can't that just happen?
Yeah, no, you get a lot of the even today with all the content out there, I see a lot of like a lot of investors send me decks and pitches to get my 2 cents, and it's like I've seen this movie like probably dozens and dozens of time in every condition where their approach makes sense on paper, but they have no shot. So it's just oh, maybe they have a shot, maybe, but they're not doing anything novel. The only thing they could argue is like maybe the time is now, but you see that a lot across digital health. People keep doing the same sort of attempts, and you're like, this was tried years ago by X Y companies. Only the grizzled veterans have a photographic memory of like, oh yeah, that's just like A, B, or C. So I think we're at the dawn of a really cool time with like stable growth, plus cool tools around AI, plus like an agreed upon playbook by investors, digital health companies, payers, hospitals that this is how you show traction and this is the data you need for to establish yourself. That's when things get cooking because you can optimize for that. So again, SteadyMD will be around now and forever. We're going to be the clinician network. That's an old business. There was in the village in the caveman days, there was someone that like gave you some roots to heal you. We've always had doctors, right? So we're just continuing that in the modern in the modern way. But our little slice of the universe is to be the best clinician network for digital health and take that responsibility seriously to take care of the patients and the clinicians in a way that doesn't sacrifice any care and make sure that patients are able to get seen as quickly as possible by all these different great digital health companies. So we're happy about our positioning and where we are in the future.
Love it. Well, Guy, I want to thank you once again for coming on the podcast here today and kind of giving us an update on where you think the market is at today and also what SteadyMD is up to
What's our
future
last
conversations.
podcast? Like 4 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah, it's yeah, people like anyone that wants to go and listen to a
The
couple of them,
archive.
it's continued to evolve and it's been interesting conversation. So especially
That was pre-pivot, so you got me right at the end of the
yeah,
last.
we got you yeah, like the first time we chatted was when you were still kind of the concierge. I was right
Yeah.
after that first round of funding.
All right, so we'll chat in 2028. Mark it down.
I love it.
Put
It's
a
marked.
calendar invite. Yeah, you got
I
you
love
got
it.
to manifest the fact we'll still be around in 2028, right? So.
No, that well, how many years would that be? 2028 would be
I've
10 plus
lost you.
years, right? Yeah, yeah. No, it
Yeah,
would be
no.
12 plus.
I started at the end of 2016. So, well, that's when we launched. Like, really, there's like the first 6 months when it's just me and your own, like whiteboarding. So, really, I think I incorporated Q1 of 2016 and launched in Q4. So, I'm growing old with this business.
But,
It's my life's work. Let's put it that way.
oh, and you love it. And you
Yeah,
love
no, I
it. And
do. Every day I get to solve brain teasers and my reward for working really hard and figuring stuff out is I get to take care of more patients and make them healthier. So that's pretty cool.
super cool. Guy, always fun chatting with you. Can't wait for future conversations.
Awesome. Thanks, Jared.